Thank you guys so much for taking the time to spend a little time tonight. It's always amazing that folks would want to chat with, spend an hour with me, but very humbled and very honored to have you here tonight. First, I'd like to say that I pray that you and your families are doing well and getting through the coronavirus, and hopefully life will get back here and get to normal soon. And also would like to thank everyone for the thoughts and prayers this week. As you probably know, Tennessee was our part of Tennessee was hit by 4 tornadoes, and thankfully no one that works for us or their families were directly affected. But we do know a lot of folks that definitely lost their homes, and so tough time in Southeast Tennessee, but we're getting through it. Thankfully, we came through unscathed, but a lot of folks there. As you can see, I'm working from my home office tonight. We've all been working remotely, and so want to give a shout out to our team. I know it's been a pretty big challenge, and but we're doing our best to keep up with all the emails and the phone calls. And unfortunately, it's been a little tough with product support, but we'll be getting back together, and hopefully soon be able to get caught up on product support as well. And of course, part of that quarantine, if you guys know me, this is going for my 80s flock of seagull hangers. So some of the other questions, a lot of the questions we get, there's some pretty common ones that we get all the time. And a lot of them, of course, have to do with new products, things that we're working on, things that are coming up. I'll be as specific as I can tonight, but, it's kind of tough. I can't give you all the specifics, but some of the things, and I've seen Jeff Amling and Carter Kirkland, Chuck Bissey, Jeff Smith. I just saw someone in the feed, Jeff Mueller popped up asking about steam locomotives. We are working on our first steam locomotive. We sent the research package to China last winter or late in the winter, and they'll be getting started on that project soon. That's going to be an HO scale. Somebody asked about doing N-scale steam as well, and on the N-scale steam side of the house, haven't decided if we're going to move forward on that. And then another common question that we get, and I just saw Jimmy Braun in the feed bring this one up, and Mike Dittmers and Arby brought this up. Are we working on a 4-axle locomotive? And we absolutely are. We're working on our first 4-axle diesel now. Tooling, engineering is just about done. Should be starting tooling anytime. So that's coming up here in the not too distant future. So Kit Classics, we're working on our next freight car there. And I'd hoped to announce it late this year, but I got the feeling it's going to get pushed back until early next year. And then next museum quality locomotive is in tooling right now. Should be done with tooling in the next couple of months. So look for that announcement hopefully later this year. And then another common question we get is, what about steam era equipment? And that one's a tough one. We'd like to do something in steam era, diesel, freight car, something of that nature. And the big challenge there is is subject matter, right? So there's a lot of product in that particular part of the marketplace, and we'd like to find something that's got a lot of road names, has a lot of variety, paint schemes, and everything we found to date has really been done. So if you've got suggestions on something that would have a broad appeal, email us at sales@scaletrains.com. We're always looking for product ideas. As you can tell, a lot of product ideas in the feed coming up tonight. So let's just grab a couple more. Another common question that we get is, what about AC44 Hundreds? That one I saw a few folks ask. Lee Stevenson brought that up. Josh Beller, Brendan Mack, Eric Ernst asked about CP. Well, of course, they've got AC44 Hundreds, and I'm sure there's some other folks that are asking too. I see Eric Andrews got that, asking for CSX, Dominic Rennie. The AC4400, and take that a little further, Richard Reed was asking about the BNSF AC44 C4Ms. I know Todd Arnett wants some Norfolk Southern AC44 C6Ms. And then a couple of questions on internationals I'll get to in a second. For us, we want to ship some runs of Dash 9s first and make some money on that, so that we can turn around and then use those funds to help fund the 4400 as well as the rebuilds. So those are pretty likely in our future. It would certainly make sense. It's an easy jump off from here. And then also Bobby Glendenning and Tyler Kowalski asked about international Dash 9s. Not in the short term. It is possible down the road, maybe on a third group of tooling, but not quite right away. And then Philip asked us. He says he loves scale trains. We're our favorite, his favorite model train company. Really appreciate that. He's asking about the AC6000. Definitely on our list of possibilities as a future project. And while we talk about future projects, that's one of the questions we get is how do we decide on what we're doing or what's coming up next? And one of the things we do is we track every new product request that comes along to us. So like all these requests that you guys are making tonight, and we will, all those will end up in our master spreadsheet. And we have a list, and believe it or not, we track it by everybody's name. So some of you guys, if you really, if there's something you really wanted and you ask over and over and over again, we're tracking that to see if it's one person or if it's a whole group of people. And that helps us make some decisions on what we're going to make. We do have a 3-year new tooling plan, actually a 5-year. The 3-year new tooling plan is pretty solid on what we're working on. And we could tell you for trade shows that are coming up exactly what our plans are. And then we also have a 5-year plan, so out another 2 years. And those are projects that we'd like to do, and we're gathering research material. And then we actually have a bullpen of products, and that will take us out almost probably another 3 to 5 years. And all those projects were out there all the time collecting research materials so that we can see if we can bring those products to market. So some specific questions, and I know these are flashing by pretty quick. So if I miss you, I apologize. But some of the ones I've seen pop up, I know Alex Colsty was asking about ES44s or Tier 3 GEVOs. Would definitely be a natural extension for us. There needs to be a definitive ES44. There's a lot of variations that have never been done before. And so there's an opportunity there. So that's definitely a possibility. I've seen some requests for C30-7s. That's on the list of possibilities. That definitely needs to be done. Some N-scale requests. Justin Sobeck was asking for EMDs. Won't say specifically EMD, Justin, but will say that we are working on several new N-scale locomotives, planning to announce one this summer and then several more, probably 3 to 5 over the next 2 or 3 years. So plenty of N-scale locomotives to come. Some other things that we're seeing some requests for, and this is a really common one that we get, is more road names on the SD40-2, or of course the SD45, the -9s. And if it's a common railroad, it's pretty likely that we'll get to that at some point. I saw a little bit ago, I know John Hill asked, I've seen a couple other folks for SD40Ns. Of course, those are the UP rebuilds. And then we've got folks looking for the early CSX. So like Seaboard System, Family Lines, all that era. That's my era, and those are my railroads. So you'll definitely see those at some point. And L&N 40-2s, those as well. Some reruns on the Milwaukees I've seen some requests for. So a lot of things there. But here's the challenge, right? As we work on railroad, road number, and era-specific models, we've really kind of backed ourselves into a corner. And on the SD40-2 project, it's one of those where there's a lot of tooling, unique tooling required to make all of those different types of models. And it's costly. So on the SD40-2, for example, we've done about everything that we can do up to this point without doing new tooling. And because of that, we're actually in engineering right now for a whole new batch of tooling. And it's expensive, guys. I mean, right now we've invested over $250,000 in tooling on the SD40-2, getting ready to spend another $100,000 on tooling. So that's a $350,000 locomotive before we've sold them, or at least the second group of tooling. But once we get that done, it's really going to open us up to a ton more runs. So a lot of the railroads you've been asking for will happen. The other thing we get asked for a lot are lease units, secondhand units. Those are tough, whether it be the 40-2, the tunnel motor, anything that's got a long lifespan. Drayton's really been banging on us to do some of his favorite railroad. Well, the tough part is when you get in these secondhand owners, the details change a lot. And because of that, a lot of times to make a one-off it's pretty expensive and it's hard to recover that tooling investment. And so we're working on that. SD45s, dash nines. A lot of questions about dash nines with the teardrop window, the pork chop window, CNW dash nines, SD45s. All of those locomotives, we're going to try and do the widest variety of road names that we can so that we can bring out as many different models. Because the thing is, for us as a manufacturer, we don't make a lot of money on the first production run. We're trying to recover that tooling investment. It's those next runs that really produce the revenue that will allow us to invest in all of those new models. So let's catch up with a few more good questions, a lot of product questions. Let's jump into a maybe not quite as product related question. And that question is, what about selling parts? And that's a great question. Saw that come in from Roy Hogan, Joe Schmidt, Mark Rollison, a few other folks. And, we will be selling trucks, couplers, wheels, 088 wheels soon. That's one of my projects as we work on, as we're here working from home. Actually, I have a little time to catch up on some things, and that's going to be happening sooner than later. As for replacement parts, that's a huge challenge. It takes a lot of time and effort to create descriptions and create product pages and photography and pricing and all those things. And we just don't have the bandwidth. We just don't have enough people to be able to do that right now. It's not to say that we won't offer some parts. I know Chewy Lamelli was asking about PTC antenna arrays. Actually, I have some of those in the warehouse. That's one of my projects to get done so that we can start selling those. There are some horns in the warehouse and some other odds and end parts. Those will make available for sale. I don't really see us selling a whole wide variety where you're going to be able to go onto the web and buy replacement parts. That being said, if you drop a locomotive and have that unfortunate accident where it runs off the railroad, we'll work with you. Call our product support team, email our product support team, and we'll see what we can come up with. So, well, I'm going to wrap up. We'll have a few more questions. I'm going to recap a couple of the most common things that were asked tonight. Of course, steam locomotives. Yes, we're working on our first one. 4-axle locomotive. Yes, we're working on that as well. Next Kit Classics freight car, working on it. Next museum quality locomotive, we're working on that as well. A lot of questions about locomotives and freight cars. Just about everyone I've seen on the list tonight is definitely somewhere on one of our possibility lists. Everything that I've seen, even some of these late ones that are popping up, 38-2s, 48-2s, ES44s, Jeep 30s, going down the list. All those are on the possibility list and a lot more. And then, some questions I'm seeing, a lot of questions about N-scale. N-scale sales are nowhere near HO, so it's really hard to continually invest at the level we are in HO. But there's more N-scale coming. We'll have a new locomotive this year. We'll have a new freight car this year. And then over the next probably 2 to 3 years, we'll probably have 3 to 5 locomotives. So, and that takes care of those. So keep the suggestions coming. We're always interested in those. Really appreciate everyone taking the time to tune in tonight. It's really humbling that you've spent almost an hour and 15 minutes with us. We truly appreciate it. God bless. Take good care. Stay safe. Until next time, we'll do this again. Thanks so much, and thank you for tuning in.